The White House is fucking haunted.
You would know if the White House is haunted because you were a butler? A mop boy?
I spent a couple years in there.
How many years?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years as a butler. And you worked in the butler's pantry.
I wasn't a butler.
The butler people.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, actually.
How many times did you vacuum the Oval Office?
I've been in there a bunch of times. It is pretty sweet in there. And
have you ever seen anything? And what we're really talking about, supposedly, the White House is really haunted.
President Abraham Lincoln is perhaps the best known of all White House ghosts, and is the most commonly seen and felt.
I mean, why wouldn't it be? Just think about the amount of history, the amount of people that have been through that building.
Yeah, and one of the biggest name in the White House haunted is Abraham Lincoln. Even though he didn't die in the White House.
No, he didn't die in the White House, but that's one of the biggest stories. And not many people know that his son, Willie, who was 11 years old, died inside the White House.
So do you think it could be Willie Lincoln more so than Abe Lincoln?
Mary Todd Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's wife, held seances in the Red Room to contact her son because she was so distraught. People have seen Willie playing up and down the halls inside the White House.
And have you ever seen that at your time at the White House?
No, I didn't see anything. I would just hear noises, and not like old house noises, creaks and cracks, but like grunts, moans, and things like that. When, like, I don't know, when I was working from like midnight to like 3 a.m. where it was dead silent and you would just hear these things, and I'm like, maybe, because there's obviously like a lot of people walking around the White House, but
yeah, it's not just a single family home here. There's tons of people that work there.
It didn't sound like, I don't know, people living.
It is an old house, but it did go through some renovations in the 1950s under Truman.
Correct. Yeah, 1948 to 1952, Truman basically gutted the White House and just left the outer walls.
And there's a famous photograph from this renovation. I would say, just like any other ghost video photograph that is out there, that's very transparent. You see it, you see other workers.
Yeah, you do see other workers, and this photograph was hanging in the butler's room, and I would spend, a couple times a day, I would rotate around, inside the White House, and I would talk to the butler. This was one of the photographs that was in his office, and I asked him about it. He said, yeah, this is one of the famous photographs proving that the White House is haunted. As you can clearly see in the bottom right-hand corner, a translucent figure, looks like a person, just standing there. And on the left-hand side, you see two workers.
Yeah, if you're looking at the photograph itself, you see two, I think there's another worker over there. So there's three workers to the left of him. And it doesn't seem like they're really looking at him or anything or interacting with the ghost.
No.
And then there's somebody on a tractor.
Funny story about that tractor.
The tractor guy.
So what they did was
Greg knew him.
No, they couldn't get the tractor, obviously, or like the backhoe, whatever you want to call it, inside any of the doors or windows. So they had to take it apart and put it together inside the White House.
Yeah. More information about this photograph.
Well, yeah, you talk up to the butler, that's what they
photograph, I mean, I know people always talk about like this house is haunted, that house is haunted. Could it have been the way that they took the photograph back in the days in the 1950s where there was a gentleman and he was a worker in there? I guess maybe him moving.
I don't know, but then like wouldn't the other ones be that same way?
Well, the guy on the tractor, he's pretty much posing for the picture. The other guys in the background just seem to be, just standing around, almost seem like, I wouldn't say they're workers. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe this guy was moving around and then it caught like his shadow and essentially not himself. That's the only question I would have about the 1950 photograph.
I could see that, but I mean, just the history of the White House itself.
The history alone.
Because people have been reported, like I told you, I used to talk to the butler a lot, said he's seen Abraham Lincoln walking up and down the hallway. George H.W. Bush's daughter said she heard pianos playing upstairs.
Sudden, we started hearing like 1920s piano music as clear as day.
I mean, there's a grand piano in the main room in the White House.
Very rarely, like right when you walk into the White House?
Correct.
Yeah.
It very rarely gets played. Also, the other big ghost story, people smell laundry and lavender when they walk in the East Room, and supposedly Abigail Adams, wife of the second president, used to hang her laundry there to dry.
Yeah, because it was still under construction pretty much right when they moved in.
Correct.
And they were the first residents in the White House. George Washington did lay the cornerstone of the White House, but he never lived in the White House.
That was in 1792. He laid the cornerstone.
Yeah. And see, this is the thing, like, is it openly discussed? Do people like, oh my God, I did see something?
I mean, I never saw lights flashing on and off. Not too long ago, one of the press secretaries joked about they heard like a loud noise in the press room, and she's like, oh, that's just the ghost. So, I mean, it is known, it is talked about, it is.
Do you think they would ever let paranormal investigators come in and just like walk around and see if they catch anything on video?
No, I don't think so. Just because of the fact that it's such a historical building, they would never probably allow that.
I mean, it would be kind of cool. Imagine be like, hey, we're just taking the tour today, and us going around filming. We're like, bleep, 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 bleep. What are you using that equipment for?
I mean, just think about all like the pieces of history, like the furniture and everything that is inside the White House that holds some type of activity in there.
Yeah, and they say like if you do any type of renovations, this is when the spirits kind of come out. So it would make sense that this 1950 photograph, they're doing renovations, spirit was disturbed, it would come out and be like, what's going on? If it is, it would just be, to me, it seems like just this photograph. We're basing the White House haunted just on this photograph. It would seem very residual haunting, where it just kind of plays itself over and over again. It's just there. It doesn't interact with people.
No, yeah, the people who like hear the piano or see Lincoln walking up and down the hallways or Abraham Lincoln's son or anything like that, they don't interact with anybody. And the noises I like I said, I've spent many a nights there.
Many a night slept over.
I mean, I didn't sleep. I wish I did. They never really did anything. It was just more noises and seeing stuff that people say.
It almost seems like, all right, if you were attached to this place, right? If you were one of the president's kid or anybody that worked there, you would really be like, all right, if I die and I can go anywhere,
that would be awesome.
I want to go back there and just like chill, because it was a great atmosphere. There's tons of history on it. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to be roaming those halls? If you were Abraham Lincoln, see how democracy kept going. See how the Republic, made out after he was killed at Ford's Theater, not too far away from the White House. He just walked on over back to the White House and said,
it used to be the people's house. They could walk right in. There was no gates, no nothing.
That's true, back in the day.
The British burned it in 1814. Yeah, it used to be it just looked like concrete, and then they burned it down, or burned it, and that's when it was painted white.
Yeah.
Now that's how it became the White House. And you could still see the burn marks in the basement, which is pretty sweet.
Was there any place in the house that you did not get to go?
No, I got to see everywhere, but the only place I didn't get to see is where like the president's, family sleeps. I didn't go into their personal bedrooms.
Right.
But yeah, I saw all the underground tunnels, like they have a bowling alley in there. Ooh. They have a florist shop in there. Like the tunnels are pretty sweet, but there's nothing creepy about them because they're all lit up. Is there
tunnels leading out to like the Potomac? You'd be like, all right, we're going to the Potomac.
Yeah.
I can't really talk about it. I did clean those hallways,
I was mopping the shit out of them.
You were mopping the hell out of them.
I think it's amazing, like the blend of history and the paranormal and just like what our country is. Like, it's haunted.
You really think so? So you would give this a thumbs up? This place is definitely haunted.
The White House is haunted. What about you?
I mean, if I had to get, I don't know, like you hear tons of stories, and then Lincoln's always associated with it.
You were inside the White House?
I was.
You took a tour?
Yes. If spirits do come back and they're residual hauntings where they're just living their lives out like nothing happened, I guess you could say, yeah, there is tons of history, so why wouldn't they be here? But then any place that was lived in, hauntings in them. So I don't know. One thing, this photograph, I don't know. I can't say, I don't know. So I might just give this a thumbs down because I think I need more information.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I don't know. The White House, it's haunted. I don't know. Maybe not. But thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Let us know if you think the White House is truly haunted. Make sure to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Check out nightmare365.com. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time,
stay spooky.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I spent a couple years inside the White House.
I spent a couple years. He was a janitor in the White House.
More strange tales. Bone-chilling tales.
Bone-chilling tales with Greg as he mops up the floor and vacuums. Make sure that window's really clean, Mr. Douglas. Thank you very much.
Wow.